Monster Hunter Frontier has been a contentious subject among mainline fans. Many think it's way too over the top, even by the game standards, or that the monster designs are too crazy and spiky. While I do think some designs are a bit too out there for me, I think the main series can benefit from getting monsters from Frontier and introducing them to the main series. Unfortunately, only 2 monsters have ever made the shift from Frontier, and even more unfortunate is that one of them is Lavasioth. So in order to get more people to complain to Capcom that they want these monsters instead of bitching about textures, I decided to list 5 Frontier monsters that I'd love to see in the mainline Monster Hunter games, in no particular order. Number 1. Ocarina. Do I really need to explain why I want this monster in the games? Look at it. It's a walrus. Fucking adorable. Well, other than that, we need more Leviathan, and water fox snakes can only be used so far. In terms of gameplay, its main gimmick is creating pitfall traps that a hunter can fall into, an interesting concept that I think can be explored more. Since the maps are no longer node-based, they can plant holes in multiple areas for a long amount of time and just be left around at random whenever it wanders. Imagine hunting a Gosharag with a Pocarodon in the map. You're having a single hunt and then boop, you're in a pitfall trap, the Goss brandishing its ice blades at you. It can really add another level of danger to the hunt. And if that hasn't convinced you, here. Number 2. Marura Garu. I have always loved monsters like Kezu and Giganox. They're representative of that weird side of biology that really gets under your skin, literally and figuratively. The Leviathan Marura Garu, rather than based on leeches, is based on a lamprey. A long white body with a protruding proboscis-like tongue, it invokes the same nightmare-like feeling we get from Kezu, just a little bit more physically imposing or threatening, rather than the subtle horror the foreskin wyvern is known for. With that in mind, its main mechanic is based on drinking blood from other monsters or from the hunter. Based on what it drinks from, its blood attacks will change properties: poison from Iodrome, paralysis from Gendrome, and sharpness-lowering blood from Velocidrome and the hunters. If they could possibly expand that with newer monsters, or put it to use in new turf wars, I think it would be interesting. Getting poison from Pookie, paralysis from Gyros, even sleep from Baggy. It's both interesting to me in terms of how being in different locales can make the fight different, and from an interaction standpoint with other monsters. Number 3. Tycoon Zamusa. Carapaceons have always been a weird but beloved part of the series. They've never been particularly strong, but they were loved enough that both of their original representatives gained deviance in Generations Unite. It was quite a shame that World had to forego the crabs. Frontier, however, realized that all evolution eventually leads to crabs and gave us one of the coolest Carapaceons in the series. Tycoon Zamusa is an interesting monster with multiple layers to it. Literally. It covers itself in a thick layer of rocks, and underneath it is a sturdy carapace. The monster not only requires you to break its armor once, but much like Basarios, twice in order to reveal the crab within. My only reservation about this monster is that the game gives it a bit of fanfare by showing off a very quick cutscene of it destroying its shell at every phase. But, based on what we've seen with Raging Brachydios, they can easily do something similar in real time with little to no effect in the game. Each phase has a significant difference to it, the first phase being a much slower but more physically imposing with mushroom spores coming out of its body, the second phase being faster and weighed down less by the armor, and the third having a significantly different moveset, moving faster, burrowing, using electric attacks, and throwing rocks at you. It's a lot more bossish than most monsters in the game, but once again, with a monster like Raging Brachydios, they've managed to make it work. Number 4. Rey and Lolo Gogar. If crabs are less your speed, don't worry, for we are now returning to Monkey. Rey and Lolo are a pair of Rajang-like fanged beasts. These manic magnetic monkeys are of the same species but with a significant genetic dimorphism, Rey being more common than Lolo. Being one of the more tame products of Frontier's weird stint into magnetism, Rey and Lolo are a pair of monsters that you must hunt together. They will stay with each other for the rest of the hunt and will often do coordinated attacks unlike other, lesser pair monsters like the Rats or Teostra and Lunastra's failing marriage. What's interesting about these two monsters is not just how they fight, but how much personality they have during the fight. They're not just coordinated, they also show you the relationship and personality between the monsters. They stick with each other no matter what, and even enrage together, even their individual personalities, with the more aggressive and dominant Lolo striking the ground to signal Rey to do their combined attacks and Rey obediently following. This characterization continues even when the monster is defeated. Lolo will permanently enrage and fight to the death, while the more docile Rey will run away and be unable to enrage if Lolo was to die. I would find it absolutely wonderful to see Rey and Lolo have turf war with other larger monsters, showing what smaller monsters can do with cooperation rather than just brute strength. Number 5. Inagami. There was said to be a form of torture where a person would be tied above a bamboo shoot and the fast-growing bamboo would grow and impale that person within days, killing them slowly and painfully. Logically, we should design a monster after that. Inagami is one of the many Elder Dragons introduced in the Frontier games. Personally, I think a lot of the Elder Dragons there are a bit too much. They can be over-designed and would need a significant amount of toning down and fixing mechanics to be viable in the main line. But personally, I don't think Inagami would need much tweaks for it to fit right in. A beautiful Elder Dragon who oddly enough uses the Kirin body type, Inagami stands out as it doesn't control elements, but plants, secreting a substance from their tail that forces the bamboo to grow out instantly. The idea of an Elder Dragon that can force bamboo to grow at super speeds is just as silly as an Elder Dragon that can make mountains from its wing fingers. So I think it would fit right in at home with the current roster. Laying bamboo traps for players to get impaled by, cutting down and tossing bamboo as spears, just using the bamboos to get in your way or make it difficult to move around. They can easily get more creative with it and start introducing interactions with other monsters too. Combined with Rise's more vertical moveset, you can easily see it as a monster that can swat down a player who's getting a bit too enthusiastic with the wire bug. Intelligent monsters with weird powers are always a blast to watch and fight, and it can easily make a home at the Shrine Ruins or have its own little arena. If there was a Frontier Elder Dragon that would make a comeback in Rise, I would love it to be Inagami. These are wonderful examples of monsters in Frontier, and I think it would be a waste to let them just stay in the Frontier games after its servers had shut down. What about you? What monsters from Frontier do you think should make it into the main games? What are your feelings about the Frontier monsters in general? Tell me in the comments section. I personally think that their movesets are a bit too crazy going down the later versions, but I can see them being adjusted to be more down to earth to fit the regular monster roster. If you like my little rambling about Monster Hunter, please subscribe. I'll be making more Monster Hunter videos and covering Rise upon its release. If you like the art, follow me on Twitter. My NSFW account is linked there too if that's more your drift. Links are in the description. Special thanks to Odie and GBA049 for letting me use their Monster Hunter Frontier footage for this video. Thank you for watching.